is Marco Bustamante, and the topic I chose deals with the responsibilities of an employer of a company has over the employees who work there, a set of rules that will affect the rate of productivity in the company, the major measure of your performance, and thus crucial to your permanency in a determined job position of a company, or being the owner of the company in question, the owner of such company, and the performance of it as a whole, making productivity the primary aspect to improve in any given workplace. At this point, one may ask oneself, how do the responsibilities of the manager affect productivity? Do they even have to do with it? The answer to this question is more complex than thought, because the endemic image of an employer in earlier decades portrays a man or a woman who only sees for personal interest and still makes a lot of money. This image, however, is wrong, since the most successful employers are those who see for the well-being of the employees, giving them benefits other companies would not, and special conditions that will make them happy. All of this surely cuts the hours worked per worker, increase their salaries, and even might have additional cost as special equipment safer for them, or special installations for disabled workers. Undoubtedly, these are losses for a company. However, it is equally known that a worker who is satisfied in his or her current job will work harder. If not out of loyalty, it will be to keep a job thought as good and rewarding, in which the worker feels safe and at pleasure. This also eliminates the risk of strikes and apathy at work, perhaps the two biggest obstacles to success in a company. It is here where it is understood that the biggest employer responsibility is to have a good productivity, but also that the best way to accomplish such a hard task is to keep the employees happy and thus productive. This was much realized by the United States government, who, in the Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970, took care of the workers' most wanted benefit, health. This change was dramatically seen at first by employers, but later found out to be a relief to both ends to the production system, since the workers develop a deeper sense of security within the workplace and a new identity of themselves as being more than a working blob, which gave them more security among themselves and outside their work, becoming more aggressive customers. As a result of that safety, increasing the profits of the company and thus the employers, who as a result of it were able to drop prices of their product and also to increase wages and augment benefits to the workers, who, as a result of these external factors, would have a tendency to increase both productivity and spending in a healthy business cycle, which would lately benefit all branches of the company and as a nation as well. Perhaps a good solution for today's unfruitful economy and massive shutdowns in small and medium business mainly. Here, perhaps the question that is on most minds of listeners is that of what were the contents of this act that helped so much in the development of so many companies and went as far as to influence the work of a nation, taking in account that afterwards there was a huge economic boom that took place, only to be beaten by those the times of the inventions of the automobile and the one in the 1990s with the internet. The Act basically contains obvious but necessary regulations that would definitely improve the conditions in the working place, but also the happiness of the workers, such as putting standards for the safety of the installations, a much wanted desire for workers, to more simple things such signs indicating possible hazards with different color codes or posters to differentiate and indicate such dangers. It is clear that employers at this point have a great opportunity thanks to the OSHA Act to increase productivity, and the numbers are just crushing. The nation's gross domestic product increased at a stable rate, and the overall content of workers was pretty much evident. The economy was much different than the economy of the gold rush times, where many workers gambled with death for some amount of money, or that of the Great Depression, where the overall status was inconformity, hopelessness, and obviously one of depression. The comparison makes it evident that the economy tends to flourish where workers gain more rights and safety, making it an employer's duty to nourish such rights, to protect his business, or in its effect the business he has been put in charge of. Another benefit of having the OSHA Act for the workers was that they also got some help from the companies in case of an accident, along with having to pay in rehabilitations and an assurance of non-discrimination to any workers who chose to use the OSHA Act as a means of legal defense in any given trial against the company. From an employer's point of view, this may have seen as a loss, because many workers indeed get hurt in certain areas that involve risks. But in the long run, this was a good thing for employers who saw best productivity in employees, who realized now that they had something to rely on and dropped some fear in activities that involved potential injury. All of this done under the watchful eye of an OSHA commission in charge of seeing that all companies follow its standards or else face shutdowns. Employers in these difficult times must realize that to abide by these rules of worker safety in mind is a crucial point, since lawsuits on companies seem relatively easier to win, and the desperation caused by the economic recession at the time makes it a highly dangerous weapon in the wrong hands. Sleeping at a Walmart at work hours in an aisle that has not a wet floor sign, displaying a wall that is visible from all angles can cost the company hundreds of thousands of dollars in a lawsuit, adding the cost of lawyers and more than likely the firing of a manager that could be any of us in the future, simply because of not paying attention to the most basic standards set by the OSHA Act of 1970. Concluding, I am sure that many employers today are seriously thinking of ways to diminish the value of their employees' work to increase productivity, but I must insist that it is the wrong way. To think less about workers and customers can only lead to disaster, like the one we have in America right now, where greedy employers give the rights of workers and customers alike to make more money, and the result is a global crisis where the only cure that seems possible is the one that avoids serious conflict between nations and is to go back to the procedures that got us so well in the global market. Thank you.